So Frank, how then are you able to describe the different situations that are encountered in the video itself? Because there are some different situations, aren't there?
Absolutely, there's more than few. That's why I've used two different job sites. So you might notice that, we're going from a light kitchen to a dark kitchen. Don't worry about it. Just stay focused on the concepts and the steps. Okay.
For a single door cabinet, measure the width and height of the cabinet and add 1 inch to both. This is the size you need to order for your new doors. You need to add 1 inch so the door overlaps approximately ½ an inch on all sides. To measure a cabinet that has a double door, measure the width of the opening and instead of adding 1 inch, only add 3/4 of an inch. For example, let's assume the width of this opening is 34 inches. We add 3/4 of an inch, making the two doors measure 34 3/4. We then divide this value by 2 and end up with 17 3/8, which is the width of the door. We only add 3/4 of an inch here because you need a small gap between the two doors so that they do not touch or overlap. If you have a bank of drawers, you can keep the same width and height as the originals. If a drawer is above a cabinet door, it will have the same width as the door below it. This is why we measure drawers after doors, so you can have the same width measurement. The height should remain the same as the original drawer. When planning for your door order, you will need to indicate which side of each door you want bored, and if it is left or right facing. To do this, stand facing the closed door, and then write down which side the hinge is on. If the door is square with no arch, the side that gets bored is not important. The holes for the hinges are bored 3½ inches from the center of the hole to the top and bottom edge of the door by default. It is important at this time to note that your new doors should not be screwed into the same drill holes as your old doors. In our case, the distance of the holes on the existing doors was not 3½ inches, so the default distance will work fine. If these holes were 3½ inches, you would need to offset this distance by adding 3/4 of an inch, upward or downward, before writing these measurements down. For example, the new distances could be 2 3/4 of an inch or 4 1/4 of an inch. If you have a table saw and a router, we recommend that you use 4x8 sheets of plywood veneer. To order these, measure every panel in your kitchen and determine how many 4x8 sheets you'll need. This will save you money and allow you to optimize the use of the material. You'll also be able to cut pieces a little bigger to compensate for gaps if the cabinet boxes were poorly installed. When measuring for 4x8 sheets, be sure to order an extra sheet to play it safe. If you don't have a table saw and router, you will need to provide precise measurements of every side panel on your order form. These measurements will be used to pre-cut your plywood veneer to the correct sizes. To measure, just measure the cabinet box side, not including any gap between the box and the wall. If you include the gap in your measurement, you may end up with an undesired front edge that will require some extra effort to even out. Be sure to measure the width and height of each panel, and like you have done for the doors, write it down on your measurement sheet. Keep in mind when measuring that the height of the panel should be measured in the direction of the grain, and the width should be measured across the grain. To measure for a valance, start by measuring the width of the opening where you will place the valance, then add 1 inch. This is to allow for trimming later on. Sometimes pieces get damaged, so adding on a little bit can be very helpful. Next, measure the height and write down both measurements on your measurement sheet. Light valances can be ordered in any length, up to a maximum of 12 feet. Measure the base of all the upper cabinets and add at least 8 feet to the sum. This additional material will compensate for any errors and imperfections of wood. In our case, the kitchen does not have crown molding. If you have the space and choose to install crown molding, measure the top of the upper cabinets and add at least 12 feet to the sum. Toe kicks can be ordered pre-cut, or you can cut them yourself out of your 4x8 sheets of plywood veneer. If you are ordering pre-cut, just measure the width and the height. Tip: subtract 1/8 of an inch from the height measurement. Kitchen floors are rarely perfectly even. So this 1/8 of an inch gap will compensate for any bumps that would otherwise make it difficult to fit the toe kick.
All right, we've correctly measured all the kitchen elements. The measuring sheet's done. I guess it's time to place the order.
Yes, the website will help you. It's very clear, it's user-friendly, and this is I would say this is a fun part because you get to pick the wood species, the color, the door style. Yeah, have fun.
It should be fun.
Yes.
What about lead time then for these materials?
I would say it could go anywhere from 5 to 7, 8 weeks. It depends the location, if it's a busy time, but yeah, an average of 5 to 7 weeks, I would say.
All right, so now let's say it's all arrived. We've received the doors, we received the refacing materials. How about tips on what to do when you receive them?
Yeah, you need to be careful when you receive the packages. If you see that there is a visible dent on a package, just let the driver know, and mainly let us know. Now, even when you open the packages, if there is something damaged, let us know. Time, it's very important. So give us a call, email, and we'll follow up with it.
You know what? That follow-up is so important for us guys too, because we know that you're on the same team that way.
Yes, absolutely.
If you have ordered glass doors, now is the time to measure. Turn the new door face down and measure the opening from the back of the door. Subtract 3/16 of an inch from both the width and the height to ensure that it will fit. This will give you the actual glass size you need to order. The thickness of the glass should be 1/8 of an inch and will need to be ordered separately from your local glass distributor. We will provide a rubber glass holder for installation. We suggest that you purchase handles or knobs from your local supplier or online. It is a good idea to select handles and knobs after you've received your doors, so you can have an idea of the final look before you make a decision. Using a power drill and the right bit, remove the old doors starting from the screw on the bottom and work your way up. If you do it this way, the door will hold itself onto the last screw, making it easier to remove the door. Once all the doors have been removed, you can begin to take the drawers off. If you've decided to keep the old drawer boxes, it is important not to damage them when removing the drawer front, especially if they were glued on. If you've decided to replace the drawer boxes, you can purchase them from the link on our website or from a local retailer. If your kitchen has under-mounted light valances, you'll need to remove these as well. There are different ways the valances may have been originally installed, some with brackets, some are screwed from inside the cabinet box, and some are screwed from underneath. If you have decorative moldings, you will need to remove these pieces and make sure you have reordered them if you need to. Fluted fillers, cabinet posts, etc. Now that you have removed the doors, drawers, valances, and moldings, you're ready to begin preparing the kitchen for refacing. When preparing traditional cabinetry for refacing, you'll need to begin by sanding down any old screw holes, rough painted surfaces, or other surface imperfections. This will avoid an uneven looking veneer. You will likely find a lip on the side panels like this one. The lip will have to be shaved with a flush cutting bit on a router or a hand planer. This will ensure your sides are even before you attach the new plywood veneer. Before you begin paneling, you need to remove any baseboards that are against the base cabinets. You will trim and reattach them when you're done refacing.
We're measured. We've ordered the materials. We've received all the materials. I guess now we're ready to start the refacing.
Yes, and the first step, of course, after you remove the old doors and trimming, the first basic step is to apply the panels. I want to give you a tip, very important one. When you reface with the panels, when you veneer, when you use the PSA veneer, start always from the bigger piece and work your way down first.
Sure.
Makes sense, right?
It certainly does, yeah.
Absolutely.